Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel for everything Arsenal and everything football. Thanks for being here. I hope you're all doing well. And welcome to the prediction show. Match day 7 is here after a week of European football. And I have a guest with me, Tom from the Hammers Chat. How are you, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I'm keeping well. It's very boring because obviously West Ham don't have to ever play any European football, so we just have to laugh at the other teams that are in Europe during the week. So, yeah,
the way it's going, you might have to play next season. I remember when you're on the channel, was it like 5 weeks ago in the preview for game week 2, and you guys were so down. You had Leicester, you had to play Wolves, you had to play City, and you didn't even lose any of those games. How's it been so far for you guys this season?
But it was like the worst predictions I think I could have ever made after that game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know myself, Charlie, obviously, who you know as well. Both of us, for the first, 6 or 7 games of the season, we just sat back and we were just like, there's no way we're getting any points from any of these games. And then obviously to beat Wolves in the manner that we did and not concede, and then to do the same thing to Leicester away from home, to hold Man City at the weekend when it looked like there was points we could have won the game. I mean, you can't ask much better than that. I mean, even against you guys, against Arsenal, Spurs as well. Of course, I completely forgot about that. Like, even against you guys, we didn't look like a team that was supposed to be losing games. We were on the back foot, but we absorbed pressure very well, and we looked dangerous when we were counter-attacking. Exactly the same thing we've done against all the other teams that we picked points up from since we played you guys. So yeah, it's just been an incredible turnaround. The players are really starting to buy into what David Moyes is believing. It's brilliant to see the reactions of the players and the staff to Lanzini's goal and stuff the other day. You can see that they're really happy and believing amongst themselves again. And it's just like I said, in the space of a month, it's just all turned around, and it's nothing but positive vibes coming out of the club right now.
Yeah, I remember when we played you guys and we only got a 2-1 victory, and it was like in the 87th minute. I was kind of really frustrated. I was like, West Ham have just lost in the opening day against Newcastle 3-0 or something at home. Why didn't we score 3 goals or 4? But as the weeks went by, I was like, you know what? Maybe it was actually a good result. You picked up a point against Tottenham, beat Wolves 4-0. So I was like, you know what? Maybe it was actually a good result. But match day 7 is here. You have another tough game. We'll come back to that. So let's get into the predictions. The first game of the week is going to be Wolves against Palace. What are you expecting from that game?
I'm going to say, for me, I reckon Wolves, they've not looked great so far this season. I mean, they've obviously picked points up here and there, but they haven't looked like the Wolves of the last few years. Obviously, you lose Doherty and Diogo Jota as well. And of course, you're going to begin to struggle. But I think I think they have too much for Palace. I do like Palace as a side. I do think they've got some brilliant players. I think they've signed well in the summer. I think Wolves at home, especially with the formation they play, should be all over Crystal Palace. But saying that, Crystal Palace went to the likes of Man United earlier in the season, absorbed all the pressure of counter-attack really well, and ended up scoring. But for me, I think, I don't know, I rate Wolves' chances against them this weekend. I think it's. Do you want me to give my score prediction as well, or?
Yeah.
I think it'll be 2-1 Wolves against Crystal Palace.
2-1 Wolves. I actually think Palace are playing really well with Zaha, so I'm going for another draw. And Wolves really don't win any game convincingly. From what I've seen this season, it's always like 1-0, 2-1. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw this time round. The next game, that will be a Friday night game. The second game, the first one on Saturday, Sheffield against City. Sheffield still haven't picked up a win this season, and City are looking shaky still. What are your expectations for this game?
Sheffield surprised me. I really thought they'd be better than that. I thought they made some really shrewd signings in the summer. I thought having the likes of Sander Berge or Berger, and then getting the youngster Ryan Brewster, and there was the other kid from Chelsea. What's his name? Ampadu. Yeah, there was good signings. There's a real sign of promise at Sheffield, but for whatever reason, the wheels have just fallen off for them at the start of the season. And even though Man City are looking shaky, I can't see anything past City winning this 3 or 4-0. I just think when they play teams like that are that are there to be got at, and especially that are in low mood right now, I think City every single day of the week. They'll be looking for response, especially after what happened against us the other day. So if they are going to look to challenge for the title this season, I reckon it'll be a big response from them, and I think it'll be 3 or 4-0. Because they absolutely played Marseille off the park midweek. They absolutely destroyed them. So if that's the kind of response they were going to give against a team like Marseille, then I fear for what's going to happen to Sheffield United on Saturday.
Yeah, just one more thing on City. Over the years, of course, especially at your place, they've been winning 4-0, 3-0, Son and Sterling running right every time. This time round, facing them, did you have that fear factor? Did you think they'd score 2 or 3 past you guys this time? Or you this time we can pick something?
I did. I thought they'd score, but the funny thing about it was I also thought they concede. That's where the fear factor for me was gone. They didn't start with De Bruyne, so I was already more confident than usual. But that City defence is a shell of what it used to be. It's nothing like the City defence of old. They have when De Bruyne doesn't play in that team, there's no leaders on the pitch. For me, there isn't anyway. It's not like you lose your companies, your David Silvers, and if De Bruyne is out, for me, that's it. And you've got a back four that really haven't played with each other much. It's just all up in the air every single week as to who plays and who doesn't. So for me, I think the fear factor going forward with City, that they can score at will when they want to. They can just pass the ball into the back of your net if they're on fire. But the defence for me is if they're going to really challenge for the title, they really have to shore their defence up, because it's just it reminds me of a team outside of the top 6 with that defence right now. It's shaky at any given moment. So
3-0.
I'm still going to say 4-0. I'm going to say Aguero hat trick. How about that? Aguero hat trick. That's what I'm going with.
I think Aguero could actually be out for a couple of weeks.
Okay, then we'll go with a Raheem Sterling hat trick. Someone's getting a hat trick.
Same thing. Okay. Sterling did miss a lot of chances against you guys, so I'm going to go for it. Won't be that easy. So 2-1 to City. The next game is going to be Burnley against Chelsea. Chelsea, of course, won against Krasnodar in the Champions League very easily, and Burnley, it's always very hard to travel to Burnley. Predictions for this one?
I think it's going to be a bore draw. I think Chelsea, Krasnodar isn't exactly close. You go, it's middle of Russia, isn't it, really? So I think they struggle. Burnley, they will quite happily shut up shop and then try to hit you on a counter. They've got next to no pace going forward, but they always somehow find a way to somehow eke out a draw. I know they haven't exactly started the season as well as probably a Burnley side usually would, but I think Frank Lampard is really up against it right now, and the fact that he played such a strong team midweek against Krasnodar, I think to me said he's panicking a little bit for his job. He knows that he has to go full strength every time now, and if they don't end up winning this game today at the weekend, then I think he is bang in trouble. I think as well, when you look at it, if you, on paper, if you've got Timo Werner, Havertz, Ziyech, Chilwell, Pulisic, Hudson-Odoi potentially, Kante's, Jorginho, on paper, this team should be just ripping opponents apart every single week. But for whatever reason, they haven't gelled yet, and I don't know if that's a lack of trust in maybe a manager who can manage players like this. Because don't forget, a year or so ago, he was managing players at Derby, and I'm not saying that he's a great man manager. He may be, but maybe he can't get those big name players to gel with each other, maybe like, say, an Ancelotti or a Guardiola would, because they have respect for the manager have managed previously at bigger clubs. So, yeah, I think Burnley, for me, I worry for Frank this weekend, and I think this will be a 1-1 draw.
I'm going to go for Chelsea win, but a tight one too. Burnley 1, Chelsea 2. The next game, just a quick prediction on Aston Villa and Southampton.
Who cares? No, I'll say 2-1 Villa. Actually, no, 2-2. Both teams can score at will for some reason this season, so 2-2.
Yeah, Aston Villa, of course, had a very great start this season until they came up against Leeds, and Southampton also beat Everton, Everton's first defeat of the season. So I'm going to go for, I think I agree with you, 2-2 drawing on this one. And then the final game on Saturday, Tom, Liverpool against West Ham. Of course, Liverpool don't have... Yeah, I actually thought Liverpool have been lucky since Van Dijk and Alisson got that injury. They've had to face teams like Sheffield and easy teams, if you know what I mean. They didn't come across like City or West Ham these days. West Ham, very good team. So finally a test for them against West Ham at home. Are you expecting something from this game?
I actually am, yeah. I don't think I've ever said this before, but they're supposed to be without Fabinho, potentially. Firmino. There's no Van Dijk, obviously. Alisson will probably play. I think they're without another one of their centre halves as well, Matip potentially, or Gomez. One of them two is injured. If Antonio is fit, he did come off against City, but there are reports coming out from the club today that he should be fit going into the game of the weekend. I just see us nicking something from this game. I'm not saying we're going to win. I think it will be. I think it probably either 2-2. I reckon. I think so. I reckon I think we have enough going forward to get a draw from the game, and I think if we can sit back like we have been against these better sides, like your Liverpool's against you guys and Spurs and that, absorb the pressure and hit you on the counter, then I think we could be in for some strange reason actually going to get a result of the weekend. So, I mean, we should have Ben Rama available as well. Obviously, the new boy this weekend to potentially either play or be on the bench. But yeah, I think it's worrying times at Liverpool because it's. I know they did win midweek, but I think in the Prem, just they're going to concede a lot of goals. Unfortunately, this season without Van Dijk, and it'll be interesting to see whether they have the backbone to try to end up repeating and win again this year. But yeah, maybe I'm just being overconfident because of what happened at the weekend. But yeah, for some reason, I see that we may get something out of this game, and I'm going to say 2-2 for a draw.
The thing with Liverpool. Especially recently, I don't see them winning like 4-0 or 5-0. Like Ajax 1-0, they get an own goal and they defend well and the game's done. Against Sheffield United, they fight until like the 80th minute and they manage to get that one goal, crucial goal, and then they win it by a 1-goal margin. So I think if you can get like early goals or just stay tough for the 90 minutes, don't give away penalties, don't give away cheap fouls.
Yeah, I think it's just their confidence this season. I think that, like I said, it shows to how much of a presence that Van Dijk is back there and how much he fills the rest of the team with confidence, and I know personally as a West Ham fan, having Adrian in goal probably for those few weeks didn't help Liverpool because trust me, he didn't fill me with confidence for the 5-6 years he was at West Ham. But it shows how much he means to that team because when he doesn't play, they look an absolute shell of themselves. There's no confidence if they do go a goal down that they can get back into the game. And obviously they've got so much attacking riches going forward, but again, similar to Chelsea, it's that defensive frailties and Man City that could potentially end up costing them now. So yeah, I think they're there to be had. It's just whether or not any manager going there this season can put the right game plan together, but I think I can trust David Moyes, I think, for this one.
Yeah, I remember when you guys when Moyes was at home and you managed to win like 3 or 4 of those games and he was still at home. And I remember when you guys played was it Tottenham and were you 2-0 behind at halftime or something, and then I saw someone in the Hammers chat saying he actually told them just play like I'm not here. Man, I laughed that day. I was like, oh my goodness. He actually told them like just play if I'm not here, like I'm still at home. So I don't know if the players don't get along with him or he's just not a good manager, but you did manage to get some good points. So 2-2 for you?
Yep, 2-2 for me, I'm going to say.
I remember that time you had I remember that time you had Sacco and
yes.
And you actually won there, I think it was 3-0 or something.
3-0,
I remember that game very well. So
Manuel Lanzini and Diafra Sacco. I think that was when Mark Noble, when Payet played up there, Coutinho got sent off. I remember those days well, Glenn. That was our first win at Anfield in like years. So I remember it.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw there. And then let's get into Sunday. Newcastle and Everton. Everton, of course, losing their first game of the season recently. Newcastle getting a good point against Wolves.
Yeah, I like Newcastle this year. I think they've made some very shrewd signings. I think they've got an okay-ish manager in Steve Bruce. But saying that, Everton again, there's a lot to like about them this season. I think they really are the team that could be on the cusp of breaking into the top 4 this season. I said on a show on Hammers Chat ages ago, I thought if they signed one more central defender, that they could really start to look a really, really good, dangerous side and be resolute enough at the back. Didn't realise that signing would be Ben Godfrey, a mate of mine. Well, I say mate of mine. I've interviewed him before, and he's close friends with some of my mates. And I didn't expect it to be him, but I think he's such a talented boy. I think that Everton have got an absolute stud on their hands there. For 20 million, he's just so cheap as well in today's market for an English defender. And like I said, going forward with James, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, they have got so many different areas in which they can attack you, and I think they've finally got a few players in defence that can stifle you as well and stop you from scoring and whatnot. So I don't know if Luca Dean is suspended for the weekend. I didn't know if he got anything rescinded because he did get sent off, didn't he?
Yeah, so to say they're going to appeal it, but they've not said anything.
But no, I still think Everton going forward will have enough to beat Newcastle. I'd quite comfortably say I think 2-0. I'm going to go.
I'm going to go for a 2-2. I don't think it's going to be that easy. The next game I'm not really going to talk about. I'll just let you have a prediction on it. Try and be nice, please. United against Arsenal. This is a game I'm really scared of. We have not won there since 2006.
Yeah, I watched Man United against PSG, and I watched them the other night, last night. Sorry, they really frustrate me. Legitimately, they really frustrate me. They have such talented players, and they have, I believe, a manager that really he does get a lot of bad press because as soon as they lose one game or whatnot, everybody sort of gets on his back. And I genuinely think if you look at the actual analytics and the stats, he's actually doing a really good job as manager there. And I think I don't want to say they're one or two pieces away from being able to challenge for the title, because when you look at that squad, you think, my God, like you've got £100 million players all over the pitch. You've got match winners absolutely everywhere. But the big question obviously still remains is around that defence. And until they actually look to shore that up, I still think a lot of teams can give them problems. I also love what you guys are doing when we did the preview for the Arsenal game. I was shocked at how well Mikel Arteta has set in and got his side ticking the way that he wanted. He made the right signings. So I'm going to watch you guys tonight against Dundalk just to have a look-see, because I haven't watched Thomas Partey yet and seen how good he potentially could be. But like I said, there's a lot to like about both teams, but it's just you just fall short at every hurdle. I'm sorry. It just feels like you're always so close. Both teams are so close, but it's always just not enough. But I'm going to say I think I have a sneaking suspicion, because Man United seems to be doing a lot better in the Champions League. I've got a sneaking suspicion that you're going to win this one, and I'm going to say it's going to be 3-2 to Arsenal. So, and I'm not just saying that because I've come on here with you. I'm just
I would love that.
I honestly think, watching how badly they capitulated against Spurs, I think they're there to be got at. I really do. It's the same with what we said about Liverpool. You get a couple of early goals and you put doubt in the minds. That defence is a shambles. The only good thing, I say the defence. I say Telles and Wan-Bissaka are very good, but the centre halves, if you can have someone in and around there to cause them some threat, whether just having a Aubameyang back there, it can be a dangerous or a long afternoon for those guys. What's
West Ham's bogey team? Which team don't you really get a point or win against ever?
Everyone. No, it was. Do you know who it used to be? It used to be until a couple of years ago. It used to be Everton. I always thought it was always Everton because it was either Lukaku, Leighton Baines scored free kick. We could never get over the hump against Everton.
For us, it's United. United. I've only seen us in my lifetime as an Arsenal fan. I've only seen us win at United once, and that's since like 2004. So that's a long time. And I was actually doing an interview with the Dundalk striker, someone on my page. And the thing is, these days with Arsenal, even him, he has no fear of Arsenal. Like he expects to get a goal.
I did see that. He's a Man United fan, isn't he? And he had no fear.
The fear factor, we have no fear factor these days. Like no team is scared of facing us. No player is scared of facing us. And
what makes me laugh about that is though, Man United don't have it either. But for some reason, Man United fans are like, I'm not having a dig at the Dundalk striker by all means. Like, you're a professional footballer, I'm sorry. But Man United don't have that same fear factor either. So for me, it's kind of like, you can say Arsenal don't, but at the same time, that video when it was played, the tunnel shots of Roy Keane against Patrick Vieira and stuff, that was the proper Man United Arsenal derbies. That isn't there anymore. I mean, like Martin Keown laughing in Van Nistelrooy's face, that's the level of intensity that those games should be played at, but they're just not anymore. Neither of those sides have the fear factor anymore, and it's a shame because it was genuinely one of the best rivalries and like not a derby, but it was one of the best matches of football to watch when you were both at your best, because it was genuine hatred between the two sides. And it's just a shame that we don't get to see that anymore in the Prem. And it's weird because Sky Sports over here always big it up like it's going to be the most just brutal, just intense battle. Yeah. And it never delivers. And it never delivers anymore, unfortunately. It's a shame.
One more question on United. Do you think decisions go their way? VAR decisions, penalties, or are you like not really? It's because
conspiracy theorist. Yes, because what was it? Howard Webb came out and said that there was leniency involved with some of the decisions with it before. So yeah, I genuinely think that they do get some. I mean, top six, but Man United it's just wild how many penalties they get a season. It really is. So
with Dr. Rashford on form, with Cavani now starting to play, Van der Beek, Pogba, and United getting penalty decisions, I'm scared of this game, but I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. The next game is going to be Tottenham and Brighton. This will be the final game on Sunday. Prediction for this one?
I'll be nice to Spurs. I'll be nice because it is difficult sometimes. But those two men on your screen there, Harry Kane and Heung-min Son, my word, they are dangerous. I would have thought that it would have been Son with 8 or 9 assists and Kane with 7 or 8 goals, but it's not. It's Harry Kane playing as the false 9 and having the passing ability that he has, which is so underrated. It's scary how good that those two can be when they link up. Obviously, you add Gareth Bale into the mix and a few other signings that they've made. They should be putting away Brighton with no problem. And I think Mourinho wants some sort of response as to what happened against us the other week at home. And I think it's going to be 4 or 5-1 easily to Spurs. I don't think they'll Spurs it up a few weeks in a row. They either Spurs it up against us or they Spurs it up against you or someone else. So yeah, I think they'll put Brighton away 4 or 5-1. I'm going to say.
I don't think it's going to be that easy, but I can see a bunch of goals. So I'm going to go for
it. Better be, because I'm gonna triple captain Harry Kane, so it better be 4 or 5-1. That's what I'm saying.
You're going for it? Okay, I have both of them in my team plus Reguilon, but I'm going to go for 4-2 win. I think Brighton are quite okay with Mope and Trossard in attack, so I think they'll get a few goals. So 4-2 to Tottenham. Then we go to Monday. Fulham and West Brom. How much are you looking forward to this? I don't know if it's part of the pay-per-view. Would you pay £15 for this one?
Nah. Do you know, I know over here on Sky Sports Box Office, it was something like 75 people paid for West Brom versus Burnley the other week. And it's like, that's just over £1,000. That's shocking. That is shocking. And who wants to pay 15 quid to watch that just shower of shit, basically? It's shocking. I love Slaven Bilic. I love Grady Diangana. I hope West Brom win. Saying that, I also love Scott Parker. I don't care. It's just, for me, 0-0 if it has to be. I don't see either. Nobody grabs.
I think both teams haven't won a game this season, but I think they'll get a couple of goals. So 1-1 draw, but definitely wouldn't pay for that game. And then the final game, Leeds and Leicester. How impressed were you with Leeds against Aston Villa? You know, it's not even just the quality. They just outran Aston Villa. They fought more in that game.
I don't get to talk about Leeds enough, which really annoys me, because I spent the last 4 years of my life in Leeds just now. I've just moved back home from Leeds. I was in university in Leeds for 4 years. And I got to understand the city, the people, how they feel about the team, the people. Some of my best mates from uni are all Leeds fans. And just Marcelo Bielsa, he loves football. I mean, you see him. If he's not at the games here with the first team, when they were back in the Championship, he was watching the reserves, he was watching the under-21s, he was watching the 18s. You know, this man lives and breathes football. To play in his team, you have to be able to run first and foremost. The distance that they cover in games is scary. They will outrun every single person every single week. And the passing ability that they have as well is just some of the best I've seen in teams that you wouldn't class as like a top 6 team. I'm so glad that they have started to really put their imprint. When they went to Liverpool and they did what they did, and people were like, oh, is this going to be a fluke or whatnot? I knew it wasn't going to be a fluke because I've watched them pretty much near on week in, week out for the last 4 years. And I'm so happy that they are really establishing themselves as a top side in England again, because Marcelo Bielsa very rarely would I say this about a manager. Fair enough, maybe he's never got the big results where he's been in previous years. But for me, he is an absolute genius when it comes to football. And for this game specifically, Leeds will have too much for any team this season. Like, that's why it petrifies me when they come to play West Ham at West Ham, because we have a larger pitch for some reason. So whenever the big teams come to play against us, they start zipping the ball around because it's like a full-size European scale pitch. You imagine that Leeds team, to give them extra space on the ball and stuff like it. It's scary how good they can be. And for all the doubters that people like Patrick Bamford has had this season, whether or not he can hit the ground running in the Premier League this time, they've silenced all their critics, and I'm so happy for them. And Leicester have been really shaky this season. I mean, they lost to Villa the other day. They lost against us. They have looked a shell of how good that they can possibly be. To be fair, looking at that picture, there's a couple of players there I really like. Castagna, Under, and Fofana. Fofana had a brilliant game, a debut the other day against when they played you guys. But I just think Leeds, on their day, I think they're unbeatable. If they're on song, they're unbeatable. And I'm going to say 2-1 Leeds for me. I just think genuinely they are a really, really good side.
The thing I'd say with Leicester, West Brom away, they won 3-0. City away, that totally trounced them 5 goals, and against us away, he had the perfect game plan. We all knew Vardy's going to come on and he's going to get a 1-0 win. So away from home, they've won all games. So away to Leeds, you might see them having a great game plan. This is going to be a crack of a match, I'm sure. Tactical matchup. And for Leeds, just last question on Leeds, have you been impressed with Bamford?
Yeah, I have.
A few games?
It makes me laugh because you listen to him in interviews and you just think he doesn't look like a footballer. He doesn't sound like a footballer. He's very well spoken. He's very prim and proper, but he's clearly talented enough because he was in that Chelsea setup for so long and they kept hold of him. And I know that's what Chelsea do, but he has scored goals wherever he's been. And it was just a question of trying to take out he missed a lot of chances last season. Like when I worked in the pub in Leeds, it was always, F this, F that, Bamford, how have you effing missed this? That's all I'd hear every single week. And if he can start to learn to cut that out of his game and actually just score goals, like he's done this season, technically some of the goals he scored are incredible. Those 3 against Villa the other day, the ones with his left foot, the technique on that is just absurd. So I really like him. I just think obviously people are quick to have a dig in because when you listen to him and you watch him, he doesn't grab the headlines like Sergio Aguero would. But for me, he's a natural born goal scorer, and if you put your faith in him, which Bielsa has, he'll reward you and he'll score goals.
So 2-1 to Leeds.
Yeah, I'm sticking. I know Leicester haven't lost away from home this season, but I've got to stick with my boys, Leeds. 2-1. If I wasn't a West Ham fan at this point, I'm being a Leeds fan. I love Leeds.
I'm going to go for a 3-3 draw, very high scoring match. So those are the predictions for this week from me and Tom. Just 2 questions I always ask every single week, Tom. And the first one is, which game will have the most goals this week?
I'm going to say it's going to be... I'm going to say it's going to be... Do you know what? I'm going to say Man U Arsenal. I think that will be the game. I will think that will be the game.
Okay, and apart from Liverpool and West Ham, which game will you be watching? Which game are you more interested in watching?
Leeds, Leicester, 100%. I think that's the game of the weekend. Not just because I like watching Leeds, but I think that's genuinely the game of the weekend.
Okay, and then the final question: 3 players who will definitely score this weekend.
Harry Kane, Marcus Rashford, and do you know what? I think Danny Ings as well. There you go, because they're playing. What is it, Villa? I think they've got again. Yeah. So Danny Ings, Harry Kane, and who did I say? Marcus Rashford. Let's do that.
I'm actually going to go for Rashford too, painfully. I'm also going to go for Aubameyang, and I'm going to go for Antonio against Liverpool. He's on form. So I'm going to go for Antonio. So where can they follow you? Of course, I have your handle scrolling down the bottom.
Yeah, no, I've just started up my own YouTube stuff, edited daily FIFA content and stuff. I've been wanting to do it for years. So if you do, then go check that out, subscribe and like and all that good stuff if you want. And then Hammers Chat, myself and Charlie do the watch-alongs. Glenn is in the watch-along live streams when Arsenal aren't playing. So yeah, come along to there, get involved, and watch myself and Charlie on Hammers Chat when West Ham play. It is fun, I promise.
It's always great stuff. just go and check the Tottenham and West Ham. Watch along, and you know what I mean. Thank you everyone for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.